Great. Ready to go? Welcome everyone. Select board meeting. Today's June 24th, 2024. I'm Sabrina Dunlap. We have FinCom, Stephen Whitley, Stephen's around the corner, Thomas Lacoma, and Jeff Donahoe. And first up is points of pride.
Sure. Last week, all of our summer programs started, the Kimball Pond, as well as summer camp, and it was a nice and cool week for them to start. Paula was in and talking, and she wanted to make sure I passed along. The DPW went and moved all their stuff that morning because we can't get into Harold's Market until the actual day of. And then throughout the week, the whole program got adjusted. So they were at Kimball Pond more, and as well as the library stepped up to do some air-conditioned activities there. And Chief Yale brought the fire truck to actually do in front of the library and use the fire hose on light spray to spray everybody down. I'm sure he didn't mind being there either. Just appreciation to everyone who sort of stepped up during that time and then changed things as needed to be done to make sure all the kids were safe. We also received an email from someone who lives in town. I had the pleasure of watching two of my grandchildren receive swim lessons from Grace on Monday. In my 40-year career as a health department sanitarian, I have been involved in evaluating aquatics programs and drowning prevention procedures. The importance of learning to swim is near and dear to my heart. I wanted to let you know that Grace did the best job I have ever seen in introducing kids to the water. She helped them overcome any fear and reluctance by very gradually increasing what she asked them to do and building on success. My grandson went from not wanting to go to a swim lesson to looking forward to the next one in 20 minutes. I just wanted to let you know, Grace is a gem. And that was from Richard Roberts, who lives here in town. And then just a note that while it was really hot last week, most of the normal stuff went on, like the transfer station was open, roads were getting done, and all the people who work outside are there. They all probably do a little less and drink a lot more water, but so that's it.
I actually just want to thank Neil for all of his successful efforts with regards to marking the candle and the tax simulation.
Thank you. That was quite exciting. It's not.
All right. Anyone else? Okay. Next, we have administrative approval of the consent agenda.
We approve the consent agenda of June 24, 2024.
The second.
All those in favor?
Questions on that? So, I'm just confirming the background of the rail trail, the regulation trail with the rail trail easements.
No, go ahead.
The easements that were approved,
Yes,
so those are for the rail trail?
yes,
Okay.
just the rail trail. It's what was voted at town meeting, and then
Got it, okay, so those are the two that were voted at that time.
those are, we separated each of them, but they're both rail trail.
Okay, cool, great,
Okay. Now we're good.
yes.
All right. All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Unanimous. Okay. Approval of the public meeting minutes from June 10th, 2024.
So moved.
I'll second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
I'm gonna abstain because I left over.
Okay. One abstention. And then finally, approval of non-public meeting minutes from June 10th, 2024.
I'll move them, note they are not seated.
All right. All those in favor? Aye.
I'm abstaining.
All right, Stephen abstains. Okay, thank you. So first, under public appointments, we have the 2024 fair parking lotto.
So here are the golf balls.
I go first.
So we do it in order. And so first Saturday is done. according to the procedure. So there's 11 people. Number one is American Legion Post 81, then Cub Scouts, Pack 77, Girl Scouts, Hopkinton High School Baseball Program, Hopkinton High School Cross Country, Hopkinton High School Girls Soccer Program, Hopkinton High School Girls Varsity Basketball, Hopkinton High School Nordic Ski Team, Hopkinton High School Track and Field, HISA, and Sons of the American Legion Post 81, just so you know. That's 1 through 11.
Okay,
So, and everyone, Saturday's the first one you draw, everyone is in on Saturday.
okay. Seems like a lot of pressure. Then you want to go first? Oh, so you're. Okay, 7.
Number 7, it's Hopkinton High School Girls Varsity Basketball.
Great.
We'll do Saturday.
Okay,
Now we do Sunday.
okay.
4.
Number 4 is Hopkinton High School Baseball Program. Now we do Monday.
Number 1.
Number 1 is American Legion Post 81, so that is Monday. Now we do Friday.
8.
8 is Hopkinton High School Nordic Ski Team. And last and least, because it's Thursday, which is the shortest day,
11.
11.
Thursday.
And they're not in on Thursday, so we'll have to draw another one.
Well, I put my back into it. I'm just saying.
There's 11. I'm down with it, so I'm collision. Number 9.
9 is not in on it either.
Number 3.
Number 3 is Girl Scout Troop 5875. So that is
Right.
the lottery for
Grill, rolling.
2024.
That was awesome.
So there was big controversy way back, so that's why this procedure.
Yeah, I
was
remember
here.
that.
So
Yeah,
we kind of tried to make it a little more fun.
yeah.
Big ball.
I don't know if the wishes came true, Norm, but.
Nordic
Okay.
Spain, you know.
You're happy for everyone, right?
Yeah, it's great. And the cross country.
Okay, so we. From 6 o'clock, HISA Park Ave Field backstop, I don't know who has to be here for.
Somebody, Rob Belty is coming.
Okay, so we can do.
I know Jeff asked if the Dustin music could be moved up, so it's
Okay.
done before he leaves.
All right. Let's do that.
Have their requests and your policy.
Partial reimbursement, okay.
Neil, on the tab that shows the principal and income as of 12/31/2023.
Yes.
I don't know if you have a very good ability to predict, or because you're showing book value 12/31/2024.
Oh, that should be 2023. And hopefully it's not the same. Well,
Wait, where are we just looking at? Oh, I see. Okay. Yeah, did you have anything in particular you want?
I don't think I was here when we set these policies last time. It's dropping in fund balance below.
Right. And we were debating this procedure.
The request for 5K.
Uh-huh.
Well, no, they were requesting. Berkeley, we split it.
No, this request is for 5K.
5,300.
I think it's for half that.
It's half of that 50.
Oh, okay. I thought these were the partial reimbursement amounts. So it's,
Those are the full amounts.
so. I'm talking about,
So Neil, if I read the statements correctly, the fund made $100 and something last year, that's it?
Income earned was 549 and the gain. The book gain was 161.
what happened last year? Wasn't it like a retroactive?
Was, and I think you granted, if I remember right. The retroactive one was discussed and the decision was made, then I think you granted 500. 500 or for the that year, the current, the 2023 year.
So they have the concepts in 22 and asked us for the money after the fact, as I recall.
Yes.
Assuming that we were going to say yes, because we'd done it in the past. Concern, which I think is why we lost it.
Did they send this, they're supposed to send it in by June 1st.
Yeah.
Like, remember?
I think it did not commit by June.
Couple of June 14.
Maybe 55 by tomorrow.
But the contract was signed like April.
And that's basically left the, that's what the policy is. And the original bequeath did not limit it to just interest, but your policy does,
Yeah. I
or just
remember.
gains.
So the issue for us really is how much of the fund balance we can spend. Yeah. How long the money will last if we continue to spend.
And this policy was shared with them. You enacted it just about a year ago. It was shared widely then.
And so the interest and earnings would be what, 600? No. 700?
Was there anybody else last year that asked for them? Sorry.
We
think
just want to
direct-
all.
The rec did 1 year. I don't think they have any intent of asking. Which is one reason we kind of put the deadline.
Yeah, we debated this, because I disagreed about limiting it to just interest, and that's why I think we landed on intends spend more. Really, shall. But do people? What is the total here? We just did interest.
Because interest in the $711 and 66 cents. which is more than last year.
How did you calculate that, Steve? I'm sorry, I'll see that.
Oh, I did the gain on the principal and the interest earned.
How is this invested?
Not very well, because it's the trustee, not meaning that they don't invest it well. The requirements, it's in the trustee of trust funds, and the requirements, it has to be invested very conservative. Technically, your vote tonight would be to request these funds from the trustee of trust.
I mean, and looking at the policy, I'm not even sure that it says the interest and the earnings in the fund. The interest is the 549. But the earnings on the fund. Is that a separate?
I think here it's listed as the 160.
It is, okay, that's what I'm questioning now. Okay, that's how I read it. I just want to make sure that was.
What's the unrealized gain?
Market. Friends, I don't know what the real gain is versus I copied it out. So,
You know, whether it was invested in bonds that have a higher interest rate than they do now, maybe that's what the unrealized gain is.
Okay, so do you want to limit it to 711 number for the exact number of interest and if we were splitting it, it would be 2650.
The only problem with me is just whatever. But the is that. This will not, that number will never increase. And the cost of bank dollars will increase.
Yeah, and when we read the trust establishment, it clearly says income and principal. And like the whole point is to provide summer concerts.
That's the question, right? Like, it's not like it's not feasible to carry it on forever, but it's also not feasible to get rid of it also. What are we on the timelines?
We get rid of it over 5 years, we just keep
No,
going.
I know, but that's not good, right? Like, what's a good timeline? 10 years? 15? Like 15 feels pretty good.
Yeah. Otherwise, it's like, what's the point?
And you know, the income here of $1,100, that's what's been earned to date, not last year.
that's correct.
Yeah.
Right, because they track it separately, especially for those funds where you can only spend the income.
Okay.
And last year, did you get a letter from some family member?
Yeah.
More or less illustrated the.
Merle Dustin's son.
Yeah,
Don't remember.
just kind of, but it wasn't like strong in one direction.
No,
That's why.
it was kind of not helpful.
Even though it wasn't a huge amount of money, it meant to last forever. We're also.
So Stephen, you would, when you got the 700, that was the gain on principal plus the income earned during 23.
Correct. Yeah.
And we have a market value is another 325,377. So maybe we could say, okay, make it 1,000 and then bring the market value down to roughly 25,000. Yeah.
we don't expect anyone else to have.
We don't, and we passed the deadline.
1,000 feels like a good number, I mean, it's not gonna drain it significantly. I think if it was 1,000 every year, it's a pretty long term before you go away.
Yep.
I'll move we make it 1,000.
Second.
Okay. All those in favor?
Aye.
Great, it's unanimous. Okay. Next up is the investment policy.
Yes, which you have minor changes. It's been a little while since we updated it. Really should be voted on yearly. This outlines basically the changes. Instead of twice a year viewing things, once, and accounting wise, this largely matches our software now that the finance director does the reconciliations and the treasurer reviews those, which is pretty standard procedure.
I did not have any issues with the proposed changes.
Everything else basically stayed the same.
Anyone have concerns?
Pretty good.
We need to adopt this, right?
Yeah,
Move to adopt.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Unanimous. Okay, and finally, under new business, we have year-to-date financials.
really isn't a lot to report. By next month, we'll have been through 6 months, so we'll keep it on. We'll do a sort of a more in-depth than IT, some of that is timing, some of that's expenses have been running high. Advertising and regional planning is done for the year. Solid waste cleanup, there's actually some encumbrances there, so that's still pretty low, but that the engineering is there, and debt principal and interest is timing. Other than that, everything looks to be pretty much where we would expect it to be this time of year.
Under IT, I think I saw computer replacements. Was that expected or unexpected?
I think we've had, most of it's expected in timing. I think we did have a machine or there that had to be done. That wasn't necessarily planned.
And how's our staff in terms of vacancies?
You approve the consent agenda, we are fully staffed.
Does that include individuals for the extra hours of the beginnings?
I believe some of them are covered, maybe not all of them yet, but I think most of them are at this point.
Or maybe the 6-month presentation, would you be able to give us an idea of how that's working out? You know, if they had to.
Extra revenue.
Extra revenue, you know, how many calls did the second ambulance
We
respond?
could get that. You probably won't have the second revenue because there's a major delay in ambulance bill
Oh,
by its nature.
I'm just curious how it's working.
Yeah.
And in general, how are revenues working?
Revenues are running just about on, we should have those. There's a lot more as we've transitioned to the credit cards, and so they've still worked through all that, but that, we should have that shortly. But everything looks like it's running about what we would expect.
Great, thank you.
Any other questions on this? Okay. All right, so I think we need town administrator updates.
Wow. We're getting already.
Oh, we can do that after.
So I'll start with. Ceiling upstairs. Oh, wow, which is not a very good picture of it, but.
Double click on the picture, it should get bigger.
There we go. So that's upstairs, that's the ceiling falling down. Well. Oh. And this is the ceiling today. So the new sheetrock is all up. First, the big feat was getting the room empty. We cleaned out, threw away a lot of stuff. Stored some stuff that we'll use again in the barn. And then cleaned out. We also did, if you look in the you can see the door in the back with the window. That one room has also been redone because that ceiling was coming down, as well as the top of the stairwell. So I'm not sure, it was working today. I'm not sure if they finished mudding but it has a few coats on it and they're pretty close. And then it will get primed to protect it. So that is one of the big things that is happening here this summer. So that's exciting. That has been a concern for a long time. There's a memo sort of updating on grants by August. We should know, as I said last week, more about the grant for the sludge cleanup. We've worked on a complete list of all our non-public minutes as we're required to have. And I think if you're agreeable, we'll start just before COVID. We had started going through old minutes and unsealing them. So that process was, I reviewed them and brought to you the ones that definitely needed to be unsealed or were questionable to go through and unseal. I think since then they've even added a reason to go into non-public, which is to unseal non-public. You already mentioned it, but we received the results of our BTLA case, which we won. So that means the 2021, the 2022, and the 2023 and 2024 assessments will remain like they are. And then those will be adjusted for 2023. 2024 will be adjusted based on the eval using kind of those same numbers. July 1st is the official health insurance switchover, but more than half of the employees have switched to the plan that saves money. So that is good. If you've been down Pennacook Road or Briar Hill, work has begun. That's starting with the intersection of Pennacook Road and Briar Hill, and they'll be heading towards the top of the hill shortly. So that is underway.
Were they marked off on the road, is that where the end?
I
Is that just where they-
think that comes out, but then there'll be some of the sections that aren't as bad further down will get repaved.
Okay,
So, as well as, Indian Ridge all the way to the Four Corners is scheduled to be repaved. And, so right through where that intersection's being redone, that will be paved, trying to think where else, down into Broad Cove while they're doing Briar Hill. Should have a full list, so, but that work is underway, so that is exciting. To have that moving forward. I think that is. Good.
then, can I ask a question about the transportation policy change? So I wasn't at the joint meeting, did we talk about the date of enacting the policy changes?
August 1st. Yeah, in the policy, it's the beginning of the month. Following adoption, provided it's at least 30 days passed. And so that is posted. And I sent to the commercial haulers that we do. Also, I know them all of that too. So.
And do the staff of the transportation station need help for enforcement, or are they gonna need anything to help with their enforcement?
Actually, the two boards are going to be doing sticker enforcement was the decision.
Forever?
That's,
Maybe not forever,
but at least, yeah,
On a daily basis,
no,
but at least now.
so like on an ongoing basis though.
we talked about giving people a heads up that we will be doing sort of spot checking days similar to what you guys did, whatever that was, a few weeks ago. But not telling them exactly when, and organizing that through the all in, the Webster County Administrator.
Got it. And then after that period, is there a plan for after that period?
Yeah, once we get everybody up. Then there'll be spot checking on a regular basis. And the decision was to not issue stickers there at all. That will try to inform people the best we can between now and then, and then they'll be sent back here. And as of August 1st, full town clerks will charge $5 for the sticker.
And so the idea was to do it on weekdays so that people who come to town hall sooner. Okay. Did you have any old business,
No,
Okay, I think we finished, well, public forum, but it is 6:03, so we can ignore 6 o'clock, the pizza regarding Park Ave, the old backstop.
So you ever like come out?
You have the mic.
Good evening, my name is Rob Belty. I'm on the high school board, and then I also coach baseball at the high school, the assistant coach for varsity. And I've been involved with baseball in town for a number of years. Used to be the middle school coach. So Park Ave Field is, it is what it is. It's can be a little rough. We were able to get some funds donated this year from Concord Northeast because a lot of our younger kids play baseball through Concord Northeast. So they replaced bases. That was good. One thing we're talking about as a possible project is replacing the backstop there. The backstop was donated, I don't know how long ago. It was there before I started coaching, but it's basically some 6x6 wooden posts with some kind of netting on it. And every year we kind of zip tie the netting back up and together and try and make it so it's, something that can sort of be playable. So HISA is considering doing that project. We have gotten a quote and I sent that to Neil. I don't know if that got out to the board, and actually I see a copy or two. So I did get a quote from another company, but it was about $5,000 more than that one. So I didn't include that. And then I had contacted some other companies, and these were the only two that would give me quotes. So
what we're wondering is possibly if the town would be interested in, chipping in a little bit. I guess I know, with budgets the way they are and taxes the way they are, it's a big ask. And it's also something that might, have to be a capital improvement item or something, depending, what we were talking. I know, people on the board, on the high school board keep talking about, well, when we did the tennis courts, there was USA Tennis, there was HISA, and there was a town portion in that. So that would be part of this, I guess. We're wondering if there could be some sort of contribution. The other thing is that quote will have to be updated if and when we do go forward, because it's only good, I think, I don't remember how many days it said it was good for, 10 days, yeah, because the markets are changing so much on materials or whatever. The other part is too, I've been talking with Greg Roberts to make sure whatever we, go with is going to be acceptable. And one thing, there's a couple things that we have to change on that. Greg wouldn't mind seeing another layer of horizontal pipes, probably at 2 feet, then 4 feet, and then 8 and every 4 feet after that. That's to prevent the fence from curling up. And the other thing is he'd like to see us bury about 12 inches. Our plan with doing this, what we put in would be roughly the same footprint of what's there now. And I've again talked with Greg, and he doesn't believe there's any plan to change the orientation of the field. So if we did, go forward with something there, it wouldn't hinder, further plans for whatever's going to happen down there. Greg said that it's possible their elevation would change for that field a little bit, but he anticipates that if it does, it would only go up. It wouldn't be going down any. So that wouldn't be a problem for the backstop. First part of it is there any chance that the town would be able to kind of partner in this to some degree? And is that something that, would be a next year item, would be, how would that all work?
How much of the backstop are we talking? I'm looking at an overhead picture, and is it the entire,
Yeah.
all of the backstop basically? Okay.
Yeah. So, and Scott Price and I were gonna remove the old one, so we don't have to pay for that. Because that adds, I think, like $1,000 or $1,500 to the job or whatever. But yeah, it's 60 feet. There's a 20-foot center section, and then 2 wings that are another 20. I'm gonna talk to the company too and see if we bury a foot. I mean, we were talking about making this 16 feet high. If it's 15, that's fine. And we're not doing any overhang because there's nothing behind there. Usually when you have the overhang, it's to prevent, balls from going, hitting, a parking lot or something behind there. But, we have nothing back there, a batting cage, and then, it goes on to fairgrounds. So that's not really a concern. It's just having a good backstop that, will last, that is going to allow the ball to be played, should it get by a catcher. And, when we're playing with younger kids down there, catchers are still learning. So there's a lot of balls that go back there. And, if it gets hung up in what's there now or something, it becomes a dead ball and, doesn't give anybody a chance that everybody gets a free base. And that's not,
Were you gonna say something?
Just that we don't have any money budgeted for that this year anywhere.
yeah.
How did we do it? I'm trying to remember with the courts. Was it the tennis courts?
I know it was a grant. I don't remember exactly how the other funds.
Yeah, and I haven't heard, I've talked to, Skate and some other people, and nobody seems to remember exactly where the other funds came from, but they seem to remember that there was a HISA, there was a town, and a USA Tennis portion. But
I know it was a USA Tennis.
Yeah.
I can look that up, but
The other thing we'd like to do, if, you know, this project does move forward, is would the board, the town be willing to do some kind of agreement that, or write something that says you're accepting, you know, the backstop and gonna take over maintenance of it, you know? And again, I don't anticipate a lot of maintenance for a backstop, especially if we, you know, do all the upgrades that Greg has talked about. I think it's going to be something that's going to last, you know, a good long time. Trying to remember which field it was. He's redone one of them, and I met him out there and we were looking at it. I don't remember if that was blood or not, but you know, he buried that, and that fence isn't curling, and it's, you know, very nice. Whereas Houston, I know like those fences are curling up, they're not buried, so this would definitely be doing it right and should be low maintenance.
So you mentioned somebody did a grant for bases. Are there any other opportunities for help on this?
So we could ask Concord Northeast, you know, and see, they did, you know, fund the bases. And that was probably, it was like probably 12 or $1,300, because what we did was because the field has different age groups, so you have some that play on a 60-foot and some that play on a 70-foot. So you need two anchors, one at 60, one at 70. So it was two anchors for each one, and then, you know, one, you can get away with one set of bases or whatnot. And I'm not sure if they replaced home plate too, but you know, it doesn't hurt to ask, and you definitely do that.
But just, I'm trying to know which field it is. This is at George's Park, but which baseball field?
No, it's
Not,
next to the Macy's.
right.
Okay.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Okay.
Park Ave, yep. Yeah.
Is Heiss's vision like we would split this with you guys?
So I haven't been given any direction on how much we're asking for. We're just asking, you know, if there is anything. But you know, we'll take whatever we can get, but
What kind of time frame? are you looking
well, so that's another thing. The contractors are usually a few months out. So if, you know, we said, you know, next week that, yes, we want to go forward with this, it would probably be something that would happen possibly in October, you know, no, September, October, depending, you know, and depending on weather, they get behind. So I'm hopeful this year so that it would be in for next year, but you know, and depending on what our weather does in the spring, that field was underwater for a lot of the spring this year. So, you know, if it doesn't happen this fall, then we'll see what, you know, next spring brings.
Out with this year, next year. Next spring.
Right. And it would, and as far as money, would that be a capital improvement item and have to be, you know, approved or whatnot? So,
It's either in the capital improvement plan or it's in Greg's budget.
and I talked to Greg and he said basically he has money for maintenance and that's it. So,
Any of our parks had a CIP program? They all,
They all have a CIP budget for,
we have a full plan for redoing fields.
I think Park Ave is scheduled next year for irrigation or something. I think it was 2025.
Right, to do irrigation, to get that in better shape while we're doing work. It's all timed
Mhm.
while the work on George Parks.
I mean, I'm open to the idea of the town contributing some money. I think I'd like to see you guys explore some grant opportunities and have a better sort of handle on what may be out there. And you mentioned Concord Northeast. I mean, I would imagine that there's other organizations other than them that might have pools of money available for stuff like this. I would hope so, at least.
Yeah.
Did receive an email from Skate today when he sent his, just confirming he was in the lottery. Tyson actually didn't win anything.
Yeah.
Wondering about making the parking lot at Park Avenue do fair parking there, so I don't know if that's something that could happen that provides some money
Yeah.
if ISO wanted to do that.
It's not that big a lot, but, and
It's,
then people,
there's skates. So.
yeah. Right,
So we would need to decide if this went into the plan for park, next year / maybe put it in Greg's budget. Right, those are two options.
Yeah, I think probably what you want to do now is if you want us to put it in the budget, or put it in for next year, we figure that out through the budget process. But if you maybe vote to if all the funds are raised, the grants come in to approve putting that on. And with those changes you noted in the stamped steel connectors, Greg,
yeah,
both Greg and Dan supported it. But I think you heard exactly what you heard is what Greg had said to us as far as long term that should be good.
So if we're voting to put it in for now, we need to figure out an amount. I think we probably do.
But I'm suggesting if you do it now to accept it, there's no amount from the town because we don't have it.
In other words, authorize ISO to go ahead at no cost to the town.
That the town sort of given that you would accept it if it was in, and I think accepting the maintenance is generally what, so that would make sense to.
Yeah.
Once once it's there, I think accepting it as a donation, making it ours, and having us maintain it is the way to go.
That way, if ISO does get the grants to cover it, whatever, to cover it, then they don't have to come back to us. I guess, yeah.
Well, I'll say no, saying nothing. But if you get it built, we'll say.
right. It's kind of what I was expecting.
Unfortunately, we don't have lots of money.
Yes, I know.
Greg can put it in his budget. Can't promise you that's.
Right, and that's what I tried to say at the HISA meetings too, is that, you know, budgets are, and, you know, in times of everyone's worried about tax bills, you know, the first things to go often are these capital improvements, you know, that are looked at as more of a nice and not a need, so.
And certainly our field plan has been stretched out through the years.
Right.
We're asking about the plan for the fields and has
Right. And then, so. I can go back and say that, yes, if we find funding, then, you know, you're willing to do accept the maintenance and, you know, accept the gift. The other thing that we've been talking about with that field, and actually I apologize, and, you know, I have talked with Greg about this, but I haven't thrown anything together. We'd like to put some kind of dugout down there. And I've talked to Greg about doing almost like a lean-to type thing. And with that, it would be, you know, 6x6 posts that are in the ground. They're only surrounded by like crushed stone. So that way, if, you know, any of that need to be changed, it would be easy. It would be very simple, like as far as what it is. You know, probably 16 feet long, 6x6 posts, pressure treated, and then have pressure treated 2x6 around the top, and then, you know, put a roof, probably some kind of, maybe that zip strip plywood stuff. That would be something that would be no cost to the town. We're going to do through donation between like a law firm and private people. We're looking at that as just something to get, you know, kids that are down there a little bit of shelter. Should it, you know, rain, they can put their book bags or whatever underneath the roof, and get them out of the sun potentially too. Because if we, you know, we do have some hot days or whatnot, it's a little shady spot to get them into. So similarly to the backstop, if you know, that pulls together, is that something that we could go forward with?
I think as long as Greg is confident.
Yeah, you and I have not discussed that.
Yeah, I've talked to Greg. I didn't talk to Neil about that. This backstop thing has been going on for a little while, so I'm trying to get that down there, but all right, well, I thank you for your time, and I think I'll probably send Neil updates that he can distribute as far as where we're at and whether or not we should do anything or ask for anything for capital improvement, for next year, but
You made any kind of motion or you think the consensus is?
I think it seems like the consensus.
And just, I mean, I guess there's, in terms of next year, us putting it in what goes before the voters, I guess there's two ways you could do it, and I'm not sure which one is better for you guys. It's either have Greg put it in the operating budget or have it be part of the capital improvement plan. And I'm not sure which one would be faster,
right.
but I mean, those are the two ways it would potentially get before the voters in March of next year.
Put it in a separate petition. Warrant.
Sure, oh yeah, yep. do that
That
too.
might actually. Better.
Yeah, that's true. You could also petition an article to raise, whatever.
$5,000 or whatever.
Yeah.
and-
Otherwise, it is with everything else.
Right,
There's
right,
a
right.
lot of priorities to try to fit in.
Because if it's the capital improvements plan, like you said, there's lots of other stuff that's already in queue.
Right,
And I can't tell you that, this project will jump all those other ones and get the money first, because I don't.
yeah. All right,
The lower the town amount is, the more likely it's able to go through.
all right, thank you.
Yeah, thank
Thank
you.
you. Right. That leaves us with, anyone here want to speak? Come on up. There you go.
Hi. I'm Carol Hooper, 146 Pennacook Road,
What was
and
your name? Sorry.
Carol Hooper. I want to bring up two words. You're going to just shoot me. Just shoot me. Go ahead. The words are green bags. I missed the meeting last week, and there are two kind of things I want to talk about. One is people's confusion about what the heck ended up. And I didn't go to it in part because I had no clue that you might be pretty much doing away with the green bags for 5 months or 6 months or whatever this is. And I think there are other people in my sort of same situation who would have been here last week if we knew that that was a possibility. And I guess, so that's one thing. The other is just people not really, I went back and I read the minutes and I tried to look at the recording. My sound wasn't great. So, and I still did not understand what was going on. And I think there are a lot of other people similarly. I don't know if you're going to put a big sign up at the transfer station, something like that. I don't know, but I found it very confusing whether they're on, whether they're off. And I just want to say I am a little upset about the notice issue because I'm sure like probably all of you, well, I've listened to green bag discussions at town meetings and have voted on those 6 or 7 or 8 town meetings where they were. And one would assume that if one was going to do away with them, which it is kind of like what you're doing, it would have been a town meeting and not, at a select board meeting. I understand you guys are maybe just not going to enforce it. Is that the concept, I guess?
Clarify
Okay.
that we didn't do away with it because we can't. And so-
Right.
So we basically voted to maintain the status quo, which is currently, it's really not enforced.
Okay, but it's still on. It's still in the same category as it was before then. It's not like you shouldn't be using your green bags. Okay, here's what I'm getting at. If we do away with it now, which it really pretty much is, if everybody says, okay, no green bags, then there's this sort of, movement in that direction, which will carry over to town meeting. And I think we should be, I don't know. I just kind of think it's wrong for us to pretend that it's not, is it enforced? Is it not enforced? Whatever.
So about the notice thing, so I think, that was, probably the 10th or 15th meeting we had about green bags.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
We've had a
we can discuss.
Right. No, I don't know how long you guys have been here, but I've been here, and I'm newbie too, and I voted many years.
I think one of the big things, at least for me, I'll speak for the entire board, was 18 months ago, we had a discussion about putting forth the one article to remove green bags. And the position there at the time was to try to figure out how to put it truly enforce it, give it.
Right. Gotcha.
So where we got to was a plan to look at what is it going to look like to truly enforce it? Because right now, while we're not really making any changes to it, no one.
Gotcha. Right.
So putting together a plan to look at what it truly look like, to enforce properly,
Right.
enforce it, properly break the facts. And through those discussions over the last several months, it became pretty clear that there was a lot of people who didn't want to continue the program and would likely vote for having it. And to properly enact the program would be a pretty significant shift in what it looks like now. And so at least from my perspective, and again, the board wasn't unanimous involved, but at least from my perspective, it was if it's going to be a significant shift, and it's likely to be voted now at the next town meeting, is it worth continuing forward with that for a short period of time before we get to town? And so while we didn't necessarily vote to change anything, we did vote to stop enforcing it, but that's effectively what's been happening for the last 10 years. So I think that just providing a little more context.
So I would challenge your assumption that it's going to get voted down. Okay, so I did.
For an article, so
If
we'll find out.
it doesn't get voted down, to me, that's great, then we can say for sure, this is what it will look like, we will hire someone to enforce it.
Right.
We'll significantly increase the price of the bags, the property price. But at least then we can say, this is what it will truly look like if we're gonna move forward. And if the town meeting, the town wants to do that, that's a very good outcome.
Okay. So I still think it's not very clear. I think it should be, you should say, okay, it's the status quo ante. It's not that you're not enforcing it, people should know. All right, are you going to give, I have like 25 bags. Are you going to give me my money back? That's what people are saying. So I think you should say that it's the status quo ante and not say we're not enforcing it. People should understand that they have, the assumption is that they should be using the green bags. It's just sort of craziness right now. I don't know. I haven't been there since this happened, so I haven't been. So I don't know. I guess that's my feelings. I just think it's really muddy. And I think really I think it should have been clear that you should say, okay, we're just not changing anything rather than saying we're not enforcing it. People should know they should still be using the green bags. That's what I think. That's all I have to say. And I know you guys want to go home. And I know I understood, it's a topic you've talked about too many times.
I also just want to say, I think we must have had, you set up 80 seats in here, right? I think we had over 100 people here possibly. It might've been like our best attended meeting ever. So this notion that like no one knew about it,
No, nobody knew that you would effectively do away with it. Okay. I think and there were a lot of people who were, there because of the haulers. I know that there are a lot of people there because I looked at them. I know who they were.
yeah.
So I would caution you if you're going with that assumption based on that meeting, I don't think that's right.
It wasn't at that meeting, but at one of the previous ones, the board had an internal conversation about what we would be doing at the transfer station public hearing and the public input. And I think we did say pretty specifically in those minutes that we were gonna talk about what to do about green bags going forward.
Yeah, I said there's two paths. We were gonna take this approach of like doubling down on enforcement, or we were gonna do what we did, which was basically say status quo, we're not enforcing it. So that's what we said, and then that's what we voted on. So I'm sorry, it wasn't clear, but
Well,
I haven't heard from anyone that.
see, I mean, I don't know. I didn't go back and look at that one. I looked at the last one. And I did find that super confusing. If you go back and look at it, you'll find it super confusing too. And I don't know. I would say that what you should do is say it's the same situation as before.
And I could have sworn, and, you know, there was a lot of conversation at that meeting, but I could have sworn that Brini said, you know, during the discussion, and maybe before the vote, that we're voting on keeping it as the status quo.
Right,
Right.
That's what I recall.
yeah, that's what I said. I'm not sure that's what the exact motion that Tom. had said.
Right. So that is what I'm getting at, is that was really not clear.
Okay.
And when I've talked to people, they've said, oh, what the heck do I get rid of? What's going to happen to my green bags? Are they going to give me my money back on my green bags? You know, I don't know. I guess I'm,
And we
Puzzle.
are gonna put an article on the warrant to put it before town meeting.
you gotta,
Yeah.
right? You gotta.
Yeah.
I mean, we all understand that. You gotta do that. But the question is, what happens from here to there? And I
Right, and I
invite you
guess
guys to think about it.
The best path, and they should rally around it and get people to turn out to town meeting for it. I mean, people need
And
people want, then we said it in the meeting too. We said, this doesn't mean it's the end forever for green bags. It just means at the moment, it is such a distraction. We cannot get anything done. And like, this gives us a way to actually come at this with fresh ideas, and, you know, people can show up and vote the way they want to vote. And that is, as Thomas said, that's what we want. And so like, if it's clear that people want to keep the bags, we'll find out in 2025. And then we're sort of back to the drawing board on like, what does enforcement look like?
Well, but actually, I think that's the key. Now we have a clear picture of what important, like, we have a way of saying, if we're going to do it, this is what the question.
It's gonna cost a lot of money, and
Like, this is what the personnel change will have to be in the
Right.
transportation. And if we decide to continue, then that's what we can do, and that's great.
right. But at this point, we weren't in a position, I think the majority of the board felt we weren't in a position to spend 80 grand on, you know, hiring a new employee to do compliance. So,
I mean, I don't know. I mean, this is not my deal. I mean, this is not my, you know, if I come in here and arguing about something, it's about other things. But I think you might find other people that would, I know there would be people that volunteer to help. Maybe that's illegal. But it could be illegal. I don't know. But there are people that have to volunteer to, you know, do other things in this town and volunteer to help with that. I don't
I
know.
know, but I will just reemphasize, we had this discussion, like Thomas said, when we were gonna put a warrant article up to rescind it, and we heard enough from people saying, please don't do that. And it was almost 2 years ago, I think, and we have been in this process of trying to figure out, and we involved the waste reduction committee, so people have had an opportunity to really try to like make the green bags work and be better. And we continue to be in this point of like, as Thomas said, now we know what enforcement truly looks like. It's a lot of money, it's a lot of time, it's a lot of logistics. And so, you know, appreciate you coming and speaking on this, but like, people have had the time and the opportunity to bring these ideas to us, and we haven't really.
Okay. I'm gonna say there are other people out there like me, just saying, who are gonna, you know, and I realize it's a tough nut to crack. I mean, and I haven't even spent that much energy on it, and I know it's a tough nut to crack.
Come to town meeting.
Yeah.
You will bet I will be there, you know, and there'll be all these other gray haired people that look like me that voted on it for 6 or 8 or 10 times, you know?
Yeah.
Like, and just, so I don't know where does that put us at the same time, at the same place? I realize you guys gotta go home, but that's.
Thank you, and we're not trying to, we have spent a lot of time and energy in this, so wanted to just give you the full picture here. That's
Understand,
so.
understand.
So thank you for being here.
Elizabeth side.
Okay.
Hi, Elizabeth Sides, 265 Crowell Road. Following up on that woman's, who she made a lot of, I think, really good points for people that didn't go to the meeting. I was a little confused also. even though I watched it, and of course I called in and I think I made some enemies because I offended people by saying that they were probably, I was embarrassed that they were so happy about not following the rules with green bags. So I was a little confused also, but then then I just asked someone, and it's basically, if I go to the dump, it's status quo. I'm still going to use green bags because I follow the rules. So I understand that woman. She was so nice about saying like, it was confusing to a lot of people. I agree with her a little bit. I guess if you didn't go to the meeting. Because I did hear you guys kind of say like, okay, we're not going to enforce it. So just wanted to say that. And that I love I actually was watching, and when the green bags issue came up, I was not going to comment on what that woman said. I was just going to say I was at the dump today, and those women are so wonderful. And I was really confused about the Lions Club, those things that they collect for the benches that they can make. And so I had all these questions. One of the nice women, like, she printed it out, like 2 pieces of paper and the forms, and said what is accepted, what isn't. She was so nice. And she literally said to me twice, I'm learning too. I don't really know. Sometimes I don't know the right answer. So I appreciate everyone who works there, and I appreciate all of you too, because this is kind of a cluster of the green bag situation. So that's all I wanted to say. It wasn't even really about what that woman just said, but I just had to add my comment. Thank you.
Anyone else online? All right, we have no non-public tonight. And our next meeting, since we've been meeting weekly for a while here,
In 2 weeks.
so that's July 8th.
Yeah.
That still feels too soon, but okay. Although in July, we only meet, I guess we meet the 8th.
And then there's actually a 3-week break between July and
Okay. All right, well, I will move that we adjourn.
Second.
All those in favor?